So what do we have today? Well, today we have a new Ibanez, and it's the Ibanez 540p3. In the late 80s, Ibanez did a bunch of unique guitars, and one of them was this guitar, or a version of, I should say that. Now this is off their Genesis series, so this is their more affordable, made in Japan priced instruments, meaning they run sub $2,000. This one in particular is $1,400 US with no gig bag or case, and it's made to kind of replicate the look of the original model that is very sought after. Sometimes those guitars can command up to $5,000. I've seen one even go as high as $7,000. Comes in 3 colors, comes in a neon yellow, which they call desert yellow, comes in this neon purple, which is like a flip-flop blue to purple color, which is great, and then of course black. All right, with that being said, let's get into the geeky stuff. And as always, I do detailed scorecards of these deep dives, and you can click the link down below to see the scorecard on this and other guitars that we've done in the past, in case you missed something or something gets edited out in the video. We have basswood body guitar. What I did here is I traced the lines so you guys can see this is where the 3 pieces are. And as you can see, I can just remove this. This is dry erase marker. I just want you guys to illustrate the 3 different pieces. Now, making guitar bodies out of 3, 4, and 5 pieces of wood, even basswood, is not new, and it's been around for a long time. I just like to show you guys all the information I can, and so you guys are aware of what the construction of this guitar is. Now, for the bridge, we have the Ibanez Edge trim, and for the pickups, we have the Ibanez Affinity R single coil, which is really just a single coil size humbucker, and we have the Ibanez V8 humbucker, and these are styled after DiMarzio pickups. You have 1 volume control, and you have a 5-way switch. Then we have 24 jumbo frets on a rosewood fretboard with shark teeth inlays. The neck is bound to give it more of a premium look, all the way going around the headstock, which is cool. And then, of course, we have the locking nut. We have a black painted headstock, and of course, it's a reverse headstock. Obviously, the guitar looks like it's upside down. It's really confusing. Let me show you why. Because what looks like they just drew the template reverse, they didn't. They actually elongated this even longer and to give it some more dramatic effect. And when you hold the guitar, it feels rather small. I'm 6 foot, so it just feels like the guitar, you can see kind of, I'm looking at myself in the screen, you can see I'm kind of bunched in already. Not something I thought. I thought it was going to feel bigger or as big as a normal traditional RG shaped body, but I feel like this is small. In fact, I kind of don't like how I kind of feel brought in like this on it. It's not my favorite. On a guitar strap, it's fine because you just kind of set it, but when you're sitting in your lap, I just kind of feel, again, closed in. That's not something I really like. Alex Skolnick was one of the most famous players who played this. Even though they did a really good job doing this, this is a little different from the original. Again, this is an homage guitar, and that's just what I take from it. Like, in other words, they thought, hey, there's some guitar players paying top dollar for these things in the used market. Why don't we reissue something that kind of makes it more obtainable to someone who just always wanted this look? And then you have a 5-piece neck, maple, walnut, maple neck. Nice little volute that Ibanez does there. This is very important to the design, even with a guitar that's got a multi-piece neck, because of the fact that you have an angle right there, and that angle makes it a little troublesome for the truss rod adjustment. I'm going off the idea that most of you are not die-hard followers of the original one. The reason I tell you that is because one of the things that would upset one of the die-hard followers is the width of the nut. This one has a 43mm nut, where the original had a 45mm nut. I want to confirm that real quick. 43.69mm at the nut, or 1.720. This is not to be exact like that model. So if you ever played one when you're younger, you had one, and you're like, oh, they finally brought it back, this may be one thing that really throws you off and you don't like. There's a part of me that just thinks that this neck is just a Genesis neck. In other words, it's made on the same machines. It's the same. It looks like identical to my other RGs that are off the Genesis collection. So it just makes their life a little easy to not have to create a new neck. Let's tune it up real fast. I remember a day when you could buy a made in Japan Ibanez, even out of the box from the factory, and it was in tune and actually playable. So it's kind of a weird thing to experience over the years, as that's not the case, especially if this was a dealer and this was taken out of the box, so the dealer didn't do setup or anything. Out of the box, how did it come set up? Well, let's look at the relief on the neck, and we have a good amount of relief. So let's take a look at the action. We are at 2.25mm right there, and then it's pretty consistent, 2.25, 2 to 2.5, 2, and the last one's 1.75. I'm just gonna go ahead and I would lower the bridge. One thing you have to pay attention to is that this particular bridge has these Allen adjustments right here on each side, and there's a smaller hole inside, and there's an extra piece in there. If you turn these to lower the bridge, if you do not release that, you can cause a problem where this bridge doesn't go down. And so those adjustments are fine. This one on both sides. Right now it's at 2 millimeters, which, as you know, is very typical for guitars to be shipped from the factory at. And now it's at 1.75. When I lowered the action, I did not lower the pickup. Sometimes you have to do that, sometimes you don't. In this particular case, I want to make sure both pickups are lowered. Let's go ahead and see how it feels. First, we'll do some bends on the neck. And we're just feeling the frets. You know, the best way is to always play it. Frets feel fine. Okay, now let's go ahead and we'll see if there's any high frets, and we'll just play all the notes and see how that goes. All right, Ibanez, good job on the frets. Let's go ahead and check the fret ends. So let's go ahead and start on the treble side. And let me show you this. A little bit right there. I would give this a 3.5, maybe even a 4. Yeah, it's snagged a little bit right up here. See it? This is where it's so the reason I show you that is like to see how it's catching, and you're like, oh, that's pretty bad. Keep in mind, there's two things. This basically, when we go here, it's absolutely fine. There's no problems. It feels great. See, that's a perfect. And then we're getting here, we have a little bit of fret sprout here. That can be easily taken care of. They just didn't polish the edge of the fret really well. Let's go ahead, we'll swap it over. We'll do the bass side. Here we go, we start with a clean one. And same thing, ironically, look, catching right around the higher frets. You see all these marks. And again, I'm just gonna go ahead and overall give it a 3 to 3.5. I'm really curious about these pickups to see what they model it all after. Resistance on the bridge is at 16.80K. So again, we have a lot of wire on that bridge pickup. The neck pickup coming in at 5.62. If we go to the inductance, we'll go to the bridge. Looking at the inductance, we're coming in at 7.58, and on the neck, we're coming in at 2.06. Okay, so let's get some measurements. Let's look inside this thing. Let's see what we got going. Okay, so what we have here inside is we have a 500K alpha potentiometer with a treble bleed. You can see the treble bleed right there, so you can roll off the volume and keep the highs crisp, so to speak. You have the 5-way PCB switch, and then you have an output jack that's a barrel style. So it's right there. It's very typical Ibanez use this style. You have a shielding paint put in here, and it looks like they covered it pretty thoroughly. And then, of course, you have a little shielding paint coming over the edge right here, and that's so it can touch the foil on the back of the plate to better insulate it. Coming over here, what we have are the 3 springs on the claw, and of course this is the ground to your electronics over here, so that way your bridge is grounded. A unique feature you don't see on every guitar, but definitely on this style bridge. This is a clamp. You can see here they screw it on. This thing clamps the springs so they can't pop out. That's in case you're just going really crazy and going to town on this tremolo system. You don't have any of the springs pop out, especially because you can pull up on the bridge and make these really loose, and they just don't want them to fall off. Let's take a better look at the neck pocket. You can see here, this is the basswood. You can see this one, 540P3, February 25th of 2025. The neck, that's where we want to really spend some time. Let's take a look. So at the 12th fret, 53.38 millimeters or 2.101. And the thickness at the 1st fret, 17.37 millimeters or 0.684. So obviously it's a very thin neck. This is the wizard style neck, very thin. Looking at the thickness of the 12th fret, 19.68 millimeters, which is 0.775. It's a pretty thin neck. It's as thin as most of the wizard necks. The carve on the back is definitely flat on the back. It's not a C carve. You can really feel that as soon as it kind of comes over the shoulder, it just goes right flat. So it comes over. We'll call that usually a U shape. So it's going to be a thin U shape. Another thing to mention is fretboard edge is not rounded at all. It's kind of sharp to the touch. So if you don't like fretboards that aren't rounded over, the inlays look great overall. Again, the guitar looks great. The neck is good. Like I said, a couple things to note. As you guys know, when we do these deep dives, I get the guitar, I spend time with it. This guitar has been here for a few months. Some things to note: the frets never sprouted. They are just as good as they were before. However, there was a couple issues. For some reason, it got a light buzz on the low strings, and it was just really hard to work out, even adjusting the neck. Eventually, I had to do a full setup, including I shimmed the neck with a piece of sandpaper just to change the neck angle, reset the guitar up. Didn't have to do any fret work, but it did need a full setup, including a slight modification, which is not super untypical, but I just want you to be aware of that. Let's go ahead and play the guitar. We'll start with the clean sound. We're gonna be running through a Synergy Send 50 head. I have two modules in it. For the cleans, we're gonna be using the Dr. Z Z-Rec. For the overdrive, the distortion, we'll be using the Friedman. Go through all the pickup settings. What we'll do now is we'll switch over to the mid-gain sound. This is still the Z-Rec from Dr. Z, it's just the more gain channel. And last, what I want to do is switch over to the Friedman. This is the HBE sound. So this will be the highest gain. We'll run a little delay with that. Okay, so let's do the cons and the pros. Okay, so some of the cons. I wish it came with a gig bag. I know that, you know, those days are kind of long gone, especially for the Genesis collection and guitars like that. But, you know, a case would be great, but just a gig bag, something like that would be just really nice, especially when shipping it. The other con is I'm not in love with the pickups. And again, I know they're trying to hit a price point, but still, then I would definitely put some better pickups in it. The bridge I'm happy with. The controls I'm happy with. The neck, the way it feels nice to me, just like my other Genesis guitars. The one thing you got to think about is this is just a Genesis guitar that just gets a price bump for the design, the look. So that's part of it. The pros, well, it looks fantastic. The color is beautifully done. The shark teeth inlays are a really nice added bonus. I like that the construction is the 5-piece maple walnut. Overall, I think the guitar is really nice. I still think I prefer my RG565, but essentially they're the exact same guitar, just the body shapes are different. And I think I like the other way the other body fits. This feels nice in the lap, so to speak, because of this big section right here. But again, it makes me feel like I lean into it a little bit and a little closer. Like I said, the guitar overall feels just smaller to me, something I'm just not in love with. But overall, I think they did a great job. This turned out to be a pretty good guitar. One thing to think about, guitars like this, they're not going to make them forever. So if you're thinking about getting one, I would definitely take advantage of it. So on that note, I want to thank everybody for hanging out with me today, especially to the end of the video. Till the next time, know your gear.